Well, I am going to talk about just one channel today, and this is for your speaking, for your coaching, for your consulting. The goal is to get more leads, have more quality conversations, and earn more referrals so you can build your business. So the first question you got to ask yourself when you think about content, when we think about social media, right? What happens when people search for you on Google? What happens when people search for you on Google? Well, hopefully your website comes up, right? But the second thing that comes up is LinkedIn. Yeah. Second thing that comes up is LinkedIn. So what happens when people search for you on LinkedIn? Now, some of my peers have said, you know, you should get really cute with your name. You should add emojis and other things to your name to add identifiers. Those aren't searchable. Not only that, they're against LinkedIn's terms of service. So they could shut your account completely down, costing you every single connection you've ever made and potentially never allowing you to sign up for LinkedIn again. Now I say potentially because I don't know anybody that's been shut down forever, but I do know people who have disappeared from LinkedIn for months at a time. I know people who have been invisible on LinkedIn who have a profile, post stuff, and nobody sees. It's called shadow banning, and it happens, okay? So think about what shows up when people search for you on LinkedIn. So the first question that I get when I'm coaching, when I'm training, when I'm teaching is, so how do I get more leads on LinkedIn, right? There's like 500 million people on LinkedIn. But so what? How do I get more leads, right? So the first way is that you have to have a LinkedIn profile that shows you are valuable. That shows you are valuable. Now, first of all, it's got to be branded like your website. If you spent $5,000 or $10,000 on building an awesome website, and then you go to your LinkedIn profile and you look like this, and this is an actual person that I am connected to's LinkedIn profile. She has no picture. She has no header graphic. She might as well not even be on LinkedIn. What does yours look like? Does it look like your website? So here's a quick shot of mine, and I'm always updating mine, trying to see what's going to work. So mine is far from perfect, but I'm going to walk you through this and explain why this is branded like my website. So first of all, my orange glasses. That kind of looks like me, right? Up here on stage. Surprised to see that on my brand? Hope not, right? So, and then it's got my name. Very simple, right? Your name. Because sometimes people don't read further down than just your header. It's also got a little bit of value there. That I'm not just some other social media guy, right? I'm talking about conversations. I'm going to teach you about conversations today as well. That I'm not just going to talk about tools, right? That I'm going to talk about the conversations you have. And then I'm going to put my contact info. I have gotten business. My clients have gotten business right off of their header graphic, even if they're not connected to that person. I got my biggest contract this year from someone who was 3rd degree plus from me on LinkedIn, who saw my header graphic and emailed me. It's not clickable. He had to manually type it. It isn't even copy and pasteable here. But he used LinkedIn to find me. Okay? So that's how it is. And then when you write it, it's got to be a resource, not a resume. Too many times we see that a resume has bullet points that say I'm great and you're not because I can use Microsoft Word. We see that. I see speakers that have nothing but bullet points in their profile. Bullet points suck. Resources instead tell a story. Resources instead showcase your relevant experience in that story. Not just that you're a great speaker, but why you matter to that audience. Tells a relevant story. It offers some insight. Again, as a resource, you should stop hiding all your smart stuff behind some crazy paywall. You heard David Meerman Scott this morning talk about newsjacking, but years ago, David went totally viral by posting up a PDF without having an email address needed to get it. Well, guess what? If you do that, if you put a link directly to a PDF, now people can link to it. Now people can download and quote it. Now, maybe a news source uses that instead of connecting to a landing page, because I can tell you, most news places will never link to your landing page. I don't care how good your content is. They want to link to something free because they want the money that's going to be spent on them. Okay? And then it's got to help the reader. It's got to help the reader. It's got to help them make a decision about you, whether they like you or they don't, whether you're helpful or you're not, whether you're a resume or a reference. Okay? So now that you have that, you've got this great profile. That's fantastic. That's step one. You could get contacted right off of there, but a lot of times people don't just go right from, hey, I saw your profile, Jennifer, let's do business together. They don't do that. Instead, you have to cultivate that relationship. You have to have some conversations, and you have to have quality conversations. Not the automated ones that you can automatically program, not the ones that you can hire an assistant to have for you, but ones that only you can have because you're an expert in what you do and what you know. So first, remember that value attracts and conversation connects. Before anybody replies to your comment, a lot of times they're going to look at your profile. They're going to look at your headline. And they're going to see, do I even care that that person commented, or are they just a troll? Are they just someone that has no value at all? Or are they someone that adds value to the conversation? They're judging you. Your headshot that hasn't been updated since the 80s at Glamour Shots. It's wrong. Now, don't point at anybody in here, but we know people that have not updated their headshot since 1987. We know them. We should shame them, right? So let's help them. Okay. So the conversations, the things you have to ask yourself is, what do you know? What do you know about your clients, about your prospects, and about your referral sources? What do you know? What do you know about them? Well, hopefully you know a lot. Hopefully you know how to have these conversations, but there's a couple techniques, tactics, if you will, that can actually help you have better conversations. So first of all, you got to look people in the eyes. If you wouldn't say it to somebody while I'm talking to you right now, you shouldn't say it online. Okay? I want you to remember that. That's so important. If I wouldn't say, Patricia, I love your hat in person, I shouldn't say it online.
Oh, you can.
It is a lovely hat, Patricia. But think about a lot of the trolls out there who don't like the fact that I wear orange glasses. Think about the people that doesn't resonate with. I'm too loud, I'm too tall, I'm too short, I'm too fat, I'm too skinny, I'm too this, I'm too that. Why do people do that? And you should not fight those people back. Just delete and block them. Just delete and block. Don't waste your time engaging anymore. 5 years ago, I would have told you, absolutely, respond to every comment that matters. Now, especially on LinkedIn, on your personal profile, we're talking about LinkedIn. I'm not talking every channel. On LinkedIn, on your personal profile, if someone comments something that is totally off the wall, delete and block. If somebody challenges you, I just had someone challenge me this week about a point that I made. And I asked him, so he questioned the whole premise of an interview that I did. And I said, so have you watched the interview? Have you read the book? I did it in a very polite way. It's the same way that I would have asked him here. Same way. Guess what? He's gone. Never going to see him again. But now people know, hey, he's not going to take that crap. It's safe for me to comment too. It's safe for me to talk to Phil because he's not going to stand for that crap. Okay? So think about that. So look people in the eyes. The second way is to look people in the letter eyes. In the letter eyes, you want to get more engagements, more business with LinkedIn. You got to think about the 3 I's. So the first I is insight. I talked a little bit about this before. Insight is the thing that only you can provide, or that only you will provide. So you have to be up on the latest news. You have to understand how to connect to now. If you're a customer service speaker and you're using Zappos as your case study, they got bought by Amazon years ago. That's not relevant. If I'd have stood up here and said, yep, you should respond to every single comment. Yeah, 5 years ago. But I updated my stuff because I see what's happening right now. And you have to too. That insight, relevant insight. Look at the industry that people are in that you want to connect to. Not everything you share, post, or comment is for everyone in your audience, in your network. But those that is, make it clear that it is. Source your stats. Show where you got the information from. If you did the independent research, that's awesome. Say that. Otherwise, it looks like you PFA'd it. You know, pulled from the air, right? So be careful with that, but offer your insights. Second of all, think about what's in common. When you're talking with meeting professionals, the number one way to get the gig is to have another meeting professional recommend you. That's an in common. If you're connected to one that loved your work, get them to review you. Put them on LinkedIn. Put them on Podium Buzz. Put them everywhere. And then refer to that. Here's someone who loved my work. Or better yet, ask them to make the connection for you. Because it used to be great, right? We could buy lists of stuff, and that list would have all their contact info, right? We hired at a trade show, right? We're going to trade out. I'm going to get exposure, but I'm going to get 1,700 awesome names in the database. That's 1,700 people that are marking you as spam. Bye-bye. Which affects deliverability for everybody else. I watch people take their LinkedIn comments or contacts and export them and then add them to their mailing list. Please don't do that. Technically, completely against the rules with MailChimp, but not exactly against canned spam. So it's gray. Might be able to get away with it. Here's the thing, if 1% of your database marks you as spam, you're probably going to get your email account shut down. So be careful of that, right? So in common, get the connection. Also in common, where did we go to school? Alumni. What associations are you part of? Keep looking down. Nicholas talked about Gary Vee. Gary is listed as an influencer on LinkedIn. If somebody follows Gary Vee, it's an awesome conversation starter. Have you read Gary's latest book? Have you seen his latest video? Look for those influencers down at the bottom. I use Gary because that's what Nicholas talked about, but now think about business people. If they're interested in economics, are they following an economist? Read that economist's latest news and now use that to find something in common. Okay, so think about the in common. The third I'm going to share in just a sec, but I'm going to show you how important it is to be specific with in common. So this is Gordon Lindquist. For those of you who don't know Mark J. Lindquist, Mark is an amazing, purely motivational speaker. He sings the national anthem, great guy. He's from Fargo, North Dakota. He's the only Asian in Fargo. I say that because Mark says that. His license plate says I'm Asian. Duh. Right? So it doesn't have the duh. I added that. So Mark invited me to go to a football game with him. I drove to Miami. They drove down from Fargo. And his father asked me where I was from. Well, I live in Tampa, Florida now. I'm originally from Wisconsin. And I said, hey, I'm from Wisconsin. And Gordon goes, that's fantastic, Phil. Where are you from? I said, well, I lived in Milwaukee. He goes, no, where are you from? I said, Crivitz, Wisconsin. Population 996. He said, Crivitz, Wisconsin? Do you know Katie Sharkey? I said, yes, I do. I went to school with both of her sons. We were in Cub Scouts together. They're the town florist. He said, really? I went to middle school with Katie in Minneapolis, Minnesota in 1965. If I'd have stayed with, I'm from Wisconsin, Gordon and I would have never connected. The power of specificity means likely Gordon and I will never be disconnected now. Because Gordon thinks of me when he thinks of Katie. That's his picture. He posted that to his Facebook. I got permission to use it. And now everybody in Crivets, because Gordon said nice things about me, because of course he's proud of his son, now flows over to me. Whoa. And now Gordon was a business guy. He's connected to other people. And now everybody in Gordon's network knows this other speaker that his son hangs out with. And now they think about me too. Pretty cool because of being specific in common stuff. Okay, so the third I is the one that we are the worst at on social media, and that's being interesting. That's being interesting. This is kind of interesting. This almost looks like Terry Brock's unicycle, right, Gina? Yeah. Almost, but not quite. Terry's got less hair than that, just a little bit, for those of you who know Terry, right? Maybe a little. But interesting stuff. Interesting stuff connects. I have a financial advisor client of mine who loves Bruce Springsteen. He is part of Bruce Springsteen groups. All he does is post about Springsteen, because if you're in financial services, you can't post about financial services stuff without being subject to FINRA and all these other crappy regulations. So he posts his firm stuff, but he also posts a ton about Springsteen. He gets more business because he's a Springsteen guy than anything else he does. Because people love Springsteen. You love Springsteen? Yeah. People who love Bruce love Mitch, and Mitch loves them back. Okay, so let me share something interesting with you. So recently I was flying on Delta. That smiling guy there in the bald cap is Darius Rucker of Hootie and the Blowfish. I was on the same flight. He was in 2B, I was in 33A. Okay, so we're not right next to each other. But I was standing in line and saw him and took a picture, and he saw that I was taking a picture, so he smiled. He probably smiled the person next to him. But anyway, so that's a smile. But I shared this. And people say, wow, I love Hootie. How did you see him? And we started a conversation. Nothing about work. Where are you going? What are you doing? Why are you flying? Now, oh, let's talk about that. Yeah, I was off to a speaking engagement. Oh, really? What do you speak about? What do you do? Driving an inbound inquiry. Interesting stuff. Okay? So we think about that. So how do we earn more referrals? Using LinkedIn. First, LinkedIn helps you to see who to ask for the referral. Talked about that with meeting professionals, right? You want to know, because it used to be, who do you know who hires speakers? Not so good. Ask specifically. Use LinkedIn. Narrow that down. So quickly, as I wrap up here, 3 specific things you can do right away to use LinkedIn better. 3 things to get more leads, have more quality appointments, and earn more referrals. First one, complete your profile. Add that header graphic. Get a great picture. Make sure your resource is there. Don't make it a resume. First thing. Second thing, connect to each other. Every person in this room should be in your network. Every person you meet in the expo hall should be in your network. Now you might say, well, I'm never going to get business. But I can tell you, you will if you're helpful. Was just in a session with Brian Fanzo. Brian said 60% of his business comes from other speakers referring him. Crazy. Each person you connect to, increase your network by at least 150 people, up to 10,000 when going to the 3rd level. Okay? And 3, have more quality conversations. Start sharing insights. Nicholas talked about content. Have more conversations with that. Quick things to share. First, video insights. LinkedIn video is awesome. You can record it on your phone, on your desktop, and just upload it natively. Don't post to YouTube, and then share a link, because LinkedIn will bury it. Second thing, what you read. You're in the airport, you read something, you share it. And third, what you do and who you do it with in a way that matters to your audience. Don't just brag that you're traveling. Explain why it matters. Share that. So one quick super secret tool, if you're an iPhone user, Apple Clips automatically captions your videos. It's free. Cool tool. Sorry, Android users, there is no comparable tool. In closing, the 80-20 rule, 80% of all that you do on social media, on LinkedIn especially, has to serve other people, and 20% can serve you. With that, if you want to connect, if you want my 7 deadly sins, my favorite resources, whatever you want, you can scan that QR code. Simply, if you have an iPhone, hold up your phone with your camera. It'll actually set it up to text. 72,000 with Phil. Shasta. Thank you.